And we are back, and we just finished watching 2022's Breaking, rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 43 minutes. We caught this on the Starz app. And
Showtime.
Oh, right. Showtime. Sorry. So it's Showtime app. And this is written and directed by Abi Damaris Corbin. Also writing credits to Kwame Kwei-Armah. This is based on the true story of Brian Brown Easley. Wonderfully played by John Boyega in this. Wow. This was such a heart and gut-wrenching performance for me. I will out myself and say I cried.
Yeah.
This really tore my heart apart.
Yeah, he did a great job playing the character. It made him very, very sympathetic. You felt bad for him.
I mean, the whole situation is just awful.
Yeah.
We in this country really need to do better by our veterans. They put their lives on the line, and yet when they come back here, their opportunities are just shit. And the VA, listen, I'm not trying to whatever, but
they should be going beyond.
Yeah,
they shouldn't be letting nonsense like bureaucratic red tape hinder somebody's ability to just get by.
Right. I mean, they're messing with his money, with his livelihood.
It's not like he's like asking for a lap of luxury lifestyle. He's trying to get by.
Right.
And because of some bizarre technicality and a snafu and a mistake on the part of paperwork or whatever.
Right. Because you find out that the Connie Britton character follows up with that VA lady, and she basically, she was like, why didn't the VA try to fix this? And the woman didn't even have an answer, did she?
No, and I got to be honest, to me that if there was like a shortcoming in the film, it was sort of like the lack of follow through in any of that. It was...
I would have liked to have heard
because that scene was like maybe 2 minutes out of the entire runtime.
Right. And I feel that like that was a
it was
really
sort of like
interesting
it
part
almost
of the
felt like
story.
it was just chucked in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is based on an article entitled They Didn't Have to Kill Him, The Death of Lance Corporal Brian Easley, written by Aaron Gell, which was published in 2018. I'll also include this in the blurb, I think is a companion piece to reading more about this young man. This is, again, the story of Brian Brown Easley, again, magnificently played by John Boyega. I think it's sort of a crime that sort of certain performances get overlooked. There was a quiet and sad dignity to this. I mean, it's weird because throughout the film, he keeps saying, I know that this is my last day. I know that this is my last day.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people tried to make that not be the case. And yet...
I had a feeling that certain people in this believed that it wasn't going to end the way it did.
Right, Estel, magnificently played by Nicole Beharie, which we had seen in Sleepy Hollow. I'm still not okay with how Fox did her dirty. Selenis Leyva, who played Rosa Diaz, the other bank employee, and I believe this is tagged as Michael Kenneth Williams' last performance. He was Eli Bernard, who is the negotiator, but also a combat veteran.
Yeah, very similar
similar
stories between the two men.
Yeah. I needed a moment after this film.
Yeah.
And then I had you sit with me and watch Guardians of the Galaxy to cleanse the palate. Yeah. But just thinking about this film just really makes my heart heavy. In the month of Black History, we try to sometimes look at stories about the Black experience. And I'm sure this is not just for Black Americans, but all races that have to deal with like this stupid government bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day...
And it carries over. It carries through the whole thing because it's like, I want to speak to a negotiator. How long was it before...
He actually got on the phone
with the negotiator. Yeah. Everybody was like outside. They're all lining up, getting everything ready. There's just like this sort of like air of nonchalance about the whole thing.
Right.
That was really, really frustrating. I mean, people's lives are on the line. This guy's saying he's got a bomb. He's going to blow up the bank and kill all the hostages. Everybody outside is just like, right. got to do it this way, got to do it that way. And seriously, I mean, I liked the negotiator, but even he was
kind of had his hands tied, and
not only had his hands tied, but also was just. I guess that's just how it is, because he wasn't really like rushing anybody to get anything done.
Yeah.
The reporter wasn't rushing anything to get anything done. The 911 operator, oh my God.
She was the worst. My God.
Yeah.
I know. I think we both turned to each other during the film and we're like, what the F?
Yeah,
I hope she lost her job.
This is an emergency, and it's just sort of like, don't worry about it. The people will be on the way soon.
Yeah.
Even like it's a bank issue, and the cops don't show up for a fairly long time. Like if he was interested in robbing the bank, he could have robbed the bank and left and been like gone for about 15 minutes before the police even like showed up. Yeah. It was strange.
And that was another, like the scene where the Estel character basically says to him, we're a bank, we'll take care of this. Like we can always recoup the money. Yeah. And he's adamant. He's like, no, because like you said, if that was my intention, I could have done that like a long time ago. I just want my money. I want what's owed to me by the VA.
And they're like, well, how much is it? And it's $892. Something like that.
Under $900. It wasn't even $1,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, and even in that scene with Michael K. Williams, where he's like, how much is he owed? And he tells him, and he's like, your life is worth more than that.
Yeah.
But somebody made a different call. I'm sure if you haven't seen it, I'm sure you can figure out how this is going to end up. I will not discuss it, but
yeah, and there was, I know you felt a bit ambiguous about who those people were.
Oh yes,
because I don't know, I when you were talking about it, it sort of made me feel a bit ambiguous. But the more I think about it, I was like, all right, this isn't that kind of movie. Those had to have been associated with one of the many law enforcement agencies that showed up.
I didn't ever hear anybody talk to them. I didn't hear them get clearance from anybody. This must have been a side thing, because it also seemed like the police chief, the way he handled it, was very under.
The police chief handled it the way the police chief's going to handle it. Right. No comment.
Right. But that's what I mean. Like,
did you kill that guy? No comment.
Right. But I feel like if they were involved with anybody, it wasn't, because even the guy that was in the tent talking to Michael K. Williams, like, I don't even think he had any, like, what happened? Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody was like, what's going on?
It felt very strange. Maybe there's some more detail, as you said, it's based on an article.
Yeah. I haven't read the whole article.
Maybe there's some more detail in the article that explains where this miscommunication happened, who gave the green light. I don't think it was up to the guy. That sounds like something I was raised on movies, and it's always the same thing. Take the shot. It's never just out of the blue that it happens.
Yeah.
At least in the beginning of the movie.
But even in those situations, it's like you have to wait for permission. So it's still like there's so much red tape because things have to happen a certain way, right? So I still don't know what to think about that. All I know is that this movie broke my heart because it's, again, based on a real story of a veteran who went to Iraq and then came back, and the system failed him. We as a country failed him. The system failed him. His community failed him. The police failed him. Everyone fails him. And I really thought it was interesting that the women who had, the woman Estel, who had a son, and she has that speech with him, like, I'm like tired of shielding my son from these kind of news stories. Don't be another news story. Let me just give you the money.
Yeah.
Like, these people are doing more for him than anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, less than $900, it wouldn't have made a dent
in anything.
Yeah. That bank's bottom line would not have been affected by it.
And I think that's why she wanted to do that, because I think
and not only that, but at least then the bank would be like, hey, university, hey, VA, give us the $900.
Right,
then it would have been cleared up because a lone man against these organizations
isn't going to get anywhere.
You're just another line on a spreadsheet.
Right. And I mean, not to give away spoilers, but the very end, that last title card.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, when I read that, I think that even like just that put me over the edge. I was like, this is so not fair.
And I mean, yeah, we've heard stories about how the
Government
bureaucracy of the Veteran Affairs Bureau is doing such a great disservice.
Oh, God.
And it's always like, hey, here's some promises. We'll get it fixed. Didn't we see some story where it's like one of the problems is like there's two divisions of the Veteran Affairs Bureaus and they're using two different computer systems?
Is that, did we see that like on John Oliver? Because I'm sure
so.
John Oliver.
And that's one of the major problems, that they can't line up the computer systems because of some sort of bureaucratic nonsense.
God.
So if they want to like communicate with each other, they have to go into a file system that takes up like an entire warehouse to get the file, which takes like months.
Yeah.
If ever.
Yeah.
It's crazy in this day and age with the level of, I mean, you could be anywhere in the world and just Google something and find out some random piece of information. You could find out what the roof of my house looks like.
Yeah. Who owns it? How much taxes we pay?
How much taxes you pay? And yet, for some reason, you can't type in and get the information, some private's name, and realize, okay, well, he needs
his money,
diabetes medicine.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Heartbreaking story aside, what did you think?
I thought it was good. There were just certain aspects of it that, like what we mentioned before, the interaction between the reporter and the lady from the VA, that just kind of felt like they were haphazardly tossed in there. I feel like there should have been more to that, but maybe I guess they just wanted to focus on the incident itself and not really the aftermath of the incident. Right. Was there an aftermath to the incident? I mean, we get the little placard at the end, but it's kind of unsatisfying in that respect.
Sure.
Because there is a bigger story here.
Right.
And we're just sort of getting the opening act to it.
Right. Yeah, they definitely, I agree with you. I think the focus was definitely that particular day in the life of this young man. I mean, we see snippets, right? In the beginning, he's forcibly removed from somewhere. And then later in the story, you find out from where and I guess why. Mm-hmm. And just little intersperses with talking on the phone with his daughter and his ex-wife. And I think just to build that he was very loving, especially when it came to his daughter. His relationship with his wife may have deteriorated, but he definitely, I think he still loved her in a way. Mm-hmm. But I think he was mostly... I got
the impression there was also some kind of mental issues he was experiencing.
Yes, because she said at one point, have you gone off your meds or something?
No, going off the meds. And there was also the little bit where he's talking about his brother, and that his brother put out a hit on him for $25,000, and he's part of some sort of cult. Yeah. And it was... You see them texting each other, and
the two bank women,
Rosa's just like, oh my God, he's crazy. We're going to die. Because they're up to that point, you think, oh, he just has these issues with the bureaucracy of the VA, but there's also something more to that.
Sure.
He was legitimately, I guess,
dealing with
damaged.
Mental illness,
Yeah, they said that, I think they said he was shot.
Yes.
Did they say he was hit in the head?
No, they just mentioned him being shot. Yeah. But I felt that throughout his sense of dignity, his sense of morality, like we said, like he could have just taken the money and ran.
I mean, he just wanted
what was due to him
and what was right.
Right.
And it's just crazy that any sort of little loophole that could have been taken to screw this guy out of his money was taken. That was pretty much the only thing I got out of that tiny scene between the reporter and the VA lady. It was just, when this happens, we have to do this.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you shouldn't have to do this. That shouldn't be policy or procedure or anything. And if it is, you should change that. And if it's a mistake, you should bend over backwards to fix it.
Right.
But we don't really get much of that. Like I said, this definitely feels like the first part of a bigger story.
Yeah. I wonder if anybody else followed up. I mean, the article is from 2018. This movie is from 2022. Mm-hmm. So some time has passed. I guess we'll spoil it. At the end, the VA still hasn't done right by the family. and giving them the money that they're owed. So it's sort of demoralizing and upsetting. And I felt like Brian's biggest thing was he didn't want to be homeless, because I think that was almost like,
yeah, and like they're just like, oh, here's a brochure.
Yeah,
homelessness and you,
and get in the back of this other line.
Yeah. Now
to deal with that.
You could wait like 3 hours for them to basically say, okay, you're homeless now.
Yeah.
We can't really do anything to help you.
Oh, God.
It's no wonder he went crazy.
It is upsetting. I mean, even though we watched this other film, I still, just thinking about it is just upsetting to me.
But like I said, I feel, just judging the film on its own, I feel it feels incomplete to me. I mean, it was a whole runtime, but it feels like there was a lot more story there that
could have been delved into. Fair enough. I enjoyed it. It was a gut punch. But I understand what you're saying. I think it would have been nice to have seen sort of an overall picture of everything here. Mm-hmm. But I think it was the filmmaker's intent to just focus in on this one particular day.
Yeah.
And all the things that conspired to sort of lead up to this one particular day. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this. I mean, it's a good film. It's really good performances. John Boyega is just amazing and heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. I mean, there is mental illness involved. You see his sort of manic, he kind of turns very quickly. But in spite of all of this noise that keeps pushing him down, he still has the wherewithal to treat everyone kindly and with respect.
Yeah.
And I thought that was another big thing. And my heart breaks for this young man. 1 to 10, what would you give this?
I'd probably give it like a 6.
A 6. I'm going to give it an 8. I think from where it starts to where it ends, I understand what you're saying. I think that there could have been more filling in of the gaps, but I think that, again, I think the filmmaker's intention was to really focus on this particular day with just a little bit of why this gentleman wound up in the situation he was in. It is absolutely heartbreaking. It is devastating. John Boyega gives such an amazing performance here and is just... I never heard about this film.
Me neither.
I saw it, I think, being played on Showtime. I think I caught the last third of it, and I was very interested in watching it. This is Black History Month. This is a story about a young black man, again, being disenfranchised and being neglected in spite of the fact that he was making the ultimate sacrifice for this country. He comes back, and then it's almost like he's cast aside and forgotten. And he didn't want to be.
Yeah.
And he just, like you said, just wanted what was owed to him and what was right.
Yeah.
6, I'm going to give it an 8. If you can, absolutely go check out Breaking from 2022. Again, it is rated PG-13. There's nothing, I mean, there's not like gratuitous violence or anything in it, right? There really isn't any violence.
I mean, there's the threat of it.
Yeah. He gets roughed up.
You see a bit of blood, but you don't see any, like, it's not like, there's no beatings or...
Yeah, and there's one tiny flashback of his time in the Marines, but that is just
it's
very
basically
quick.
Just him running across a field with a bunch of other guys in a helicopter. Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing war. There's no explosions or anything. This isn't that kind of movie.
Yeah. It's very, I guess, drama, right? It's dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, based on a real-life event. Sad. Again, yes, if you have the Showtime app, you can check it out there, or it might be to buy rent on Prime for $1.99.
Okay.
And that's it from us, and we will come back with another review soon. Good night.
Okay, good night.